This episode of the Golf Gambling Podcast from the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You could win up to 325 times your entry with their Pick 8. Sign up with code GOLFSGPN to claim your special pick, plus first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. Underdog Fantasy, promo code GOLFSGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Build your own betting model using their AI betting engine. Claim your 7-day free trial by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm, RITHMM. Moonoff, the Machine, Manji, and Chris are getting ready for the NFL season on the Propcast. They got episodes dedicated to season-long props and the awards market. Check them out and check out CJ Sullivan and his road to 10 million on the Bottom Line Bombs. Tune into wherever you get your podcast or go over to the SGPN app. Okay, Scottish Open. This is going to be a fun week. We are going to talk. We got a big field, and a lot of these guys are DP World Tour golfers. Luckily for you, I'm an avid DP World Tour bettor, and I watch a ton of golf across the pond. So, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But let's talk some G. I'm not going to get too deep into the JDC because it's going to be very repetitive from what you see on every other podcast. I know if you listen to Matt Gannon, you're not. I am not the only person you listen to. So I'm not going to get too deep into JDC. My JDC thoughts are good for the Davey T backers. Another win for the chart. Congrats if you backed them. But that's 3 winners in 29 events for the chart. So Godspeed to you. Let's pull up the DraftKings leaderboard. Let's talk some shop. So 10K and above, double digits. We have Rory McIlroy, Xander, Ludwig Aubert, and Colin Morikawa, kind of like a big 4, big 3. Colin is ahead of Ludwig in the betting odds, at least in, I would say, 95% of markets or 95% of books. But Ludwig gets the nod here. And if I had to pick one golfer who I think would, like, in a Ludwig versus Colin matchup, I would say I think Ludwig finishes higher this week. Colin is trending in the right direction for sure. I'm not going to argue with that. Colin has gained in every single category in 4 straight events. But course history-wise, this is not a golf course that Colin Morikawa, I think, really, A, has played well or makes sense for tremendously. Whereas Ludwig, I think he really does make sense. I think Ludwig can use his driver to success. This is a golf course that has lent itself to some elite drivers going to the top. Bob McIntyre, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele. And even before this was an elevated event or a co-sanctioned event, Minwoo Lee, Matt Fitzpatrick, Thomas Dietrich. Those guys are elite drivers. All of those guys who just listed are elite drivers. And Ludwig surely has that in his docket where Colin is more of a let's kick back a little bit. Let's lean into our iron play. And yeah, he's an elite player in that regard, but I'm going to pick Ludwig there. So let's talk about the 2 guys at the top. Rory or Xander? What's the question is, which one do you want to run out with? Rory taking a time off, Xander taking less time off, but he hasn't played the last few weeks. Obviously Rory won this event last year and Xander won the year before. So you're definitely splitting hairs here. And I believe I would say ownership would dictate it. But I think my answer is Xander. I think even if Xander is a little bit more chalky than Rory, which he probably will be, his floor is so much higher. Like Rory can finish T21. I think Xander can't finish worse than T9, truthfully. So just with that being said, you're splitting hairs. They both are elite in all categories. Xander's probably a little bit more solid across the board, while Rory can spike a little bit better. But I'm not going to read off Rory and Xander thoughts. It's going to be a more what do you want to do? Like what is the ownership telling you to do? So I would say at the top 2, I would go with Rory and Ludwig as my 2 favorite in the top. Let's talk about this 9K range for a little bit. Tommy Fleetwood leads us off at 9.9, down to Matt Fitz at 9.2. Vic, TK, Decky, and Minwoo are in the middle. So who's going to be chalky here? I think it's going to be Tom Kim at 9.5, and rightfully so. Tom Kim's betting number is high and Tom Kim's price is high. But Tom Kim's played this event the last 2 years, T6 and 3rd place, respectively, and he's playing great golf. I know he missed the cut at the Rocket Mortgage, but that was I think week 8 straight of golf, and it was a shitty event after he narrowly just beat Scotty in a playoff. He's confident and he makes sense on this golf course. This is a golf course where course history I think matters. Like, this is not a golf course we see regularly, so being here and playing well here will definitely help the guys who can say that they've done that. So TK definitely checks that box, but do we want to click the chalk or do we want to pivot elsewhere? Because there's surely some ceilings around here. Tommy, he loves the lane conditions. Victor, I think Victor is going to go a tad overlooked this week. I think with Victor, people are ready to, if they're gonna run, I don't even know if they're going to, but if they're gonna run him out, it's next week at Troon. Because in Victor's short career, he's been elite in the Open Championships, and I think people are like, all right, let's see how he plays this week, and then we'll jump on him next week at the Open. Why not get ahead of that narrative? Why not plug in Victor right now and say, like, if that's the case, let's play him. If he's going to be 11% in it with the ceiling that he has, I'm down for some Vic. So I'm down for some Vic, especially if Tommy's getting some love, TK is getting some love. I think Decky will really be forgotten, but I don't think like you just play him because he's blind chalk. Like, Hideki doesn't scream links golf. I can see him having a T45 finish here, and I wouldn't really be that surprised by it. And then at the bottom, Minwoo Lee is going to be giga chalk. Minwoo Lee won this event a few years ago, but that was when it was a DP World Tour event, not when it was a co-sanctioned event. And like, I want to honestly see his stat profile from the Rocket, because what did he finish in the Rocket? T3, T2. He gained in every single category. That's the first time he's done that since the Cognizant. So it's great to see with Minwoo gaining, and more specifically gaining on approach. Like, he's always going to gain off the tee. He's more times than not going to gain around the greens and on the greens. So it's the approach that's his real question mark. And he's showing good signs in that category. And we know the flow chart. Is it a links course? Yes. You play Minwoo. So just by that flow chart, I think I might sprinkle him because I think he's going to play well, but I don't think he's just a sure bet and a sure click because he's so increased in the pricing. And this is a fairly strong field opposed to when he did win here. It was not a strong field. And that leaves Matt Fitz, who might just be not clicked at all. Maybe he'll click because he's obviously used to playing in these conditions. He's finished T6 here before, but his recent results are very odd. T64 at the US Open, T36 at Travelers, and then a T5 at Memorial. But he hasn't been good on approach. He's been spotty all around. That Memorial was just built on a really hot putter, but Fitz is a good putter. And in his 2 trips here, he's gained strokes putting in both times. So I think Fitz, especially, I'm not saying he's like an auto click, and he's not a lock in my player pool, but if he comes in sub 8%, I can definitely see myself getting to Fitz to pivot off of some of this chalk. So before we get into the 8K range, real quick, Underdog Fantasy. Pick 8 is live now. So create entries up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex that boy. So you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement is higher than ever. The best part, you can win up to 325 times your original amount. You can make boost and you can flex entries. I'm going to be making pick 8s. Head over to SGPN or sportsgamblingpodcast.com to see my picks. They're going to be Wednesday night to Saturday night, 2 picks a day. So sign up, promo code GOLFSGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. Underdog Fantasy, promo code GOLFSGPN. Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Circa is back with their Circa Survivor and they're giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. And of course, the contests are rake free. Circa Millions, pick 5 NFL teams against the spread and compete for $6 million or to survive the NFL gauntlet to claim $10 million in prize pool. There is a ton of prizes at Circa. This is not a hot take. You guys already know this. Circa is one of the best sports books in the world. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th or use a proxy to play from anywhere. We have a deal with Football Contestproxy.com to save $50 with promo code SGP. So definitely, if you're into that kind of thing, get over there and do what you got to do. So let's talk about this 8K range. Corey Connors, 8-9, down to Jordan Spieth at 8K. JT, Brian Harman, Sung J M, Aaron Rai, Sahith Theegala, Wyndham. I definitely like a few names in this range for sure, but some names I can see being a tad chalky. So Sahith and Wyndham Clark, I honestly think they're better bets than they are DFS locks because they're good betting numbers. They're 45 to 50 to 1, and they clearly both have top 3 to winning upside. But they also have miscut equity. Like, these guys are volatile, especially Sahith. But I love the way the course fits for both Sahith and Wyndham Clark. Like, just think of what Sahith is on paper. Sahith is an excellent driver with a very creative short game, links golf. And then think of what the Renaissance Club asks of you. It's links golf with some modern elements, with elevated greens complexes. So with Sahith being a somewhat linksy golfer on paper, but still having so many modern elements to his game, that should play around this golf course. I know he missed the cut here last year, but he's as volatile as ever. You do not bet or play Sahith based on his incoming form or his course history. You bet him or play him based on his betting number or his ownership. You let the number dictate where you go with Sahith. So right now, I think he's a better bet than he's a DFS play, but we will see what ownership tells. And in Wyndham Clark, I really do like as well. This is the first time I've kind of ever been excited about Wyndham Clark. This is a golf course where he can send it off the tee. And in 2 trips here, he's gained around 13 strokes ball striking. So he's comfortable around here, clearly. He's lost strokes putting in both trips here, but at the end of the day, Wyndham Clark's a really good putter, and I'm not going to bank on him just losing strokes putting every time he's here. Go back towards the top of this AK range. Corey Connors and JT. Corey is really expensive, and I'm not really sure why. I'm not seeing the Corey thing. I don't love Corey this week at all. I understand that he's playing very consistent golf. He made the cut his last 2 years here, but the tools that Corey Connors possess, like hit the ball very straight, hit your middle irons accurate, and maybe make a 20-foot putt every 15 holes, doesn't scream links golf. It doesn't scream like it's going to get rewarded here. So definitely passing Corey. I can see myself getting the JT. JT's coming off of a T5 in Cromwell, and which I was very high on in Cromwell. And if you listened, you knew that. Definitely cash you some lineups. Help me out for sure. But JT is a guy who's been driving the ball really well and has always been a great driver. And his short game is immaculate. Now, the putter is surely a question mark, but on these super, super slow greens, maybe JT can find something and roll a few putts. So I definitely like JT at 8-8. And then from that Harman M Rye range, Rye won here years back, and it wasn't obviously a PGA Tour event. There wasn't great golfers in the field, but he seems so safe to make the cut, and he's just playing such good golf that is just. I feel like it can elevate over the weekend. He'd probably be my pick down there. And Jordan at 8K, I wonder what the people will do with him. Probably fade him because you got right above Thigala and Clark, and then right in between Thompson and Bob Mack. So I think Jordan is going to get completely squeezed, like totally squeezed. But I don't hate it for Spieth. I really don't, because he showed good things last week. It went exactly how I expected it for go last week. He'd have one good round surrounded by 3 not poor rounds, average rounds. He's got a T10 here in 2 trips, but I prefer Jordan on like more pure lengths. Like, I think next week's a better spot. So hopefully we just see some good things from Jordan this week, and then we can just hammer him at like 12% ownership at the same price next week. So I'm going to probably wait a little bit on Spieth, but if he's really squeezed, why not throw him out there? Like, I don't hate that. There's definitely worse things you could do. So let's go down a tad. The 7K range, Davey T 7-9 all the way down to EVR and Tom McKibben. Tom McKibben, I'll start down here, is probably my favorite DP World Tour player this week. Maybe not. Maybe Rasmus is. He's in the 6K range, so we'll talk about him later. Tom McKibben, he is playing really, really, really good golf right now. He is finished inside the top 10 in, I think it was 4 of 8 events or 4 of 6 events. And he's a golfer who is young, hits the ball a mile, 6 top 10s in his last 10 starts. So he finished T35 here last year, played well at the US Open, and his ceiling is so high. He might be the greatest golfer born in Northern Ireland, if you know what I mean. So definitely down for some Tom McKibben at 7K. Let's go back up to the top of this range though, and give you some more names. So what are we gonna do with Davey T? We're gonna go right back to him. He's never played any links before. I mean, no one's gonna click him because I think everyone's gonna click Bob Mack, but I think Bob Mack is a massive fade here. Yeah, he finished runner-up last week. He's in his home country of Scotland. The storyline makes a ton of sense, but why am I going to play a really chalky Bob Mack who never works in that sense? And he's lost on approach in 2 straight events. Like, unless he's coming in peak form, I'd play him, but he's not. And last year he was very cheap in this event. We're chasing Bob Mack. Don't chase Bob Mack. If you want some Scots, there are some Scots I got for you. Just hang on a tad. I'll give you some Scots to play the home game narrative with. But let's get through the rest of the 7K range. Max Homa, 7,700. He's really not in the right spot. And I tried to do the Max Homa thing at the Travelers and it didn't work. But I think I want to try one more time. I really do. The driver has been an absolute mess. But if there's any course you can kind of be a little bit wide off the tee, this is one of them. This is one of them for sure. So I'm down for Max to either be bad off the tee and just tap into the rest of his game because he's finished T16 or better in his last 2 years. So the course history is great. Or he's had, 3 weeks off now? Got with his coach. I'm sure he's found some things. Those weeks off were definitely really good for Max. So I like him at 77. I also really like Ben On at 76. Ben On finished T3 last year, but he fits the build of a golfer who's going to send it off the tee, and he's got an elite short game. Obviously, the putter is a question mark, but I don't think he's going to have to make 30 birdies this week. I think he'll have to make maybe it could be 20. It could be 20 plus. But I like Ben On. Or for what it's worth, I like Ben On at $7,600. So bring my screen back up and we'll talk some more guys down to the bottom of the 7K range. I think the real guys that I'm going to target down here are between Keith, Billy, and Dietrich, and then EVR. EVR and Tom, I really both like at 7K, but between Keith, Billy, and Dietrich, let's talk about those guys. So Keith modeled out so well for me, and the fact I've always said this with Keith, you play Keith Mitchell at Rory McIlroy golf courses. Just think about Quail Hollow, think about Bay Hill, think about Summit Club, and the list goes on. Even the course in Canada where they both play so well every time. And it's not rocket science. What do they both do really well? Drive the ball amazingly and can be streaky with the putter. Now, obviously, Rory's a much more complete golfer, but at the core, they're both driver putter builds. So with that being said, Keith at a really cheap price, and no one's going to click him because he's just so gutless, is a click for me. And there was a reason I bet Keith Mitchell 350 to 1 at the Summit Club because it just screamed Rory McIlroy, and Rory won there. So actually, Rory did not win there. I'm sorry. Actually, no, Rory did win there. Timeout. Now I'm messing with my head. 2022 CJ Cup Summit. That was 110% Rory, right? Rory McIlroy. Okay. But Keith Mitchell finished third and was leading after 2 rounds by 4. So that was why I bet Keith Mitchell and not Rory McIlroy. So my golf brain is I'm proud of my golf brain. Like, it's really smart. And I remember really weird things like that. But sometimes I second guess myself. Like, there was a time where I got so clogged that I couldn't remember what TPC Sawgrass was called. So that was a total aside. But we're here. We are here. So we did Keith. Billy should be confident, but more not even less confident, but an opportunity. He has an opportunity. He's had a great season. He's won, and he loves to golf across the pond. He usually is here already and playing all these plays Wentworth every year, plays the Scottish, plays the Open Championship, obviously. And these aren't perfect Billy conditions because these aren't true links, but there's many worse spots for Billy, and it's a great price. And now Thomas Dietrich. Let's give the Thomas Dietrich at Scottish case/story. Thomas Dietrich, the year that Minwoo Lee won this event, Thomas Dietrich got absolutely boned. They were tied on the back 9. in between weather delays, and the weather was just awful in Scotland, like it usually is. And Thomas Dietrich is over a 3-foot putt, and what do you know? The weather horn blows. They are in the final group. They should have all the eyes on them, but they decided to blow the weather horn when Thomas Dietrich is in the middle of his putting stroke. Obviously, he missed the putt and went on to lose in a playoff. I don't remember if he was up 1 at the time or tied. Doesn't matter. That stroke was needed, and he was 110-1 that week. Obviously had him. Obviously. So Thomas Dietrich playing much better golf this year, and he fits that driver putter mold that I love around the Renaissance Club, and that's why I like Rory. That's why I like Keith. That's why I like the guys that won here fit that mold. Minwoo Lee, Matt Fitzpatrick almost won here. Matt Fitzpatrick was also in that playoff, so I believe. So yeah, 7K range, and then is that all I like in the 7K range? Screen back up, please. Screen back up. Yeah, I like EVR too, but let's talk some 6K guys. Not going to go too crazy into the 6K range because, as you know, I have a show dedicated to that. I really like Rasmus as my Højgaard this week. It's just a storyline that I'm trying to build. Rasmus, obviously the brother of Nikolai, does not get many chances to beat his brother because his brother plays on the PGA Tour now. But growing up, Rasmus was the better golfer and was the more successful one out the gates. But Nikolai stormed these last 2-3 years tremendously. Now, Rasmus is coming off of a T4 finish at the KLM Open, I believe, and is a golfer who can gain infinity strokes putting. And guys have done that on this golf course. Guys have gained so many strokes putting to find success. And that's kind of what Rasmus does. His ball striking is not as consistent as Nikolai's, but it's trending in the right direction, and he's a great putter. He's played this event well before both Nikolai's did. I mean, both Højgaards did. So I'm definitely down for Rasmus to make some noise and be the Højgaard that really makes noise this week. So let's go down a little bit further and find some more potential 6K or 5K targets. Kurt K, 6'7", almost won here in 2022, has a lot of DP World Tour links history because he played a ton of golf on the DP World Tour. Now, Ewan Ferguson, $6,700, was a guy that I kind of was looking forward to in before we got to the week, but he won last week, and this price is simply too high for him. But he has good course history, and he's from Scotland, and he's in great form, obviously. So, like, there's no reason for him to be that much more expensive than Seamus Power, Ryo Hisatsune, Cam Davis, at all. 5K plays, Guido Migliozzi, 6K, coming off of a win recently, and he is ball striking the hell out of it. Connor Syme is a golfer that I like at 6K as my potential low Scott. If we're looking to bet in the low Scott market, I'm interested in Connor Syme. So if you find odds, definitely shoot me a text. Connor Syme is more of a American style European guy. He's an elite ball striker, really, really elite iron player, and a shit putter. Similar to Justin Thomas. Like, if you want to think of that build, that's what Connor Syme is. So I do like that around here. It can get the job done. Some other plays in the 5K range that really stick out to me right now. Shub Sharms. I kind of like Sharma a little bit. He almost won BMW International. No, was it the BMW International? Or was it the Sharma? What event that he almost won? He finished Tier 3 at. Oh, T5, the Italian Open. Sorry. He almost won the Italian Open. Had him, obviously. So he's probably been my play at 5-4. And just remember, last time it was in the Open, Sharma was trending tremendously. He had a great Open championship. So those are some 6K, some 5K targets. Going to be back later with some the official 5K and 6K plays for this event. But stay tuned in because I am going to be live with the ISCO DFS preview in just a few moments. So peace out. See you then.